Hi, I'm Jon Sicotte, Executive Editor of the Brewer Magazine. Welcome to another edition of the Brewer Magazine podcast. And we are sponsored by Keg Logistics. You can go to keglogistics.com/brewermag for more details. And of course, you can subscribe, like, and subscribe to both our YouTube channel and our Spotify channel, where you can find the video that you are watching right now. And of course, 24 hours a day, it's brewermag.com for your business resource needs. Well, for our September-October issue, which is now digitally a digital edition at brewermag.com, I sat in and talked with MadTree Brewing co-founders Brady, Duncan, and Kenny McNutt to explore what happens when a brewery stops thinking like a production facility and instead starts acting like a service company. Over the past decade, MadTree has transformed from a hop-heavy production-first brewery into a hospitality-driven organization with multiple venues across Cincinnati, Ohio, each designed with intentionality, community connection, and data-driven decision-making at its core, and we really got into it. Brady and Kenny shared with me honest turning points behind that shift and how a consultant's blunt critique changed their internal culture and why they re-registered as a hospitality company, and how technology, sustainability, and a B Corp framework also shaped their business model. So you can read all about it at our website, or take a listen right now to some key points of the interview right here on the Brewer Magazine podcast. This Brewer Mag podcast is sponsored by Keg Logistics. Now's the perfect time to review your keg management strategy. Whether you're seeking a truly flexible keg rental program or intrigued by the seamless distribution freedom of paper fill, Keg Logistics is ready to craft a personalized solution for you, ensuring you receive the kegs you need precisely when you need them. For details, visit keglogistics.com/brewermag. Keg Logistics, modern solutions for keg efficiency. Has that adjusted your strategy and what you guys are? I think you were production mindset, going to distribute, and this obviously brought in the hospitality aspect.
Yeah.
Do you see that flipped almost, like you guys are focusing more on hospitality?
100%. I think I don't want to say completely flipped the business, because I think we were starting to get there a little bit pre-COVID. We were starting to get there when we opened this place, but I would say post-COVID for sure, we've very much embraced like a little bit, and I don't want to be cheesy and sound all proctoidy, but a consumer first kind of mindset, guest first. So that's where things like Sway came from, right? We're watching the explosion of High Noon and vodka sodas, and and even our employees and our bartenders, I'll see them out at the bar, and we got draft beer on tap, and they're drinking High Noons, back before we had Sway, and I'm like, what the hell are we? Why are we so resistant to doing this? But then as we think about how we built out Alcove, how we built out Parks and Rec, it's very intentional with like, how do we fit into this neighborhood? How do we complement this neighborhood? I think the cool thing here, we were kind of here before a lot of this around here was built up. Certainly Oakley was very well established. But the only thing really here was this kind of Crossroads Church and Kroger across the street, way across the street. And that was kind of it. So the neighborhood kind of grew up, at least this part of the neighborhood kind of grew up around us. As we've gone into Alcove, right, taking this kind of urban, natural environment into, this natural environment into this urban neighborhood, and then Parks and Rec is just like a beautiful extension of the park. So I think we've shifted our mindset into a hospitality first company, and that applies everywhere. That's not just hospitality as it relates to like food and beverage. That's just like how our sales team treats people, how production treat people, stuff like that.
Yeah, that was a big aha moment for us. We started our first strategic planning back in 2018, and when somebody says it takes 4 or 5 years for anything to really start to change you culturally, strategically, they're not wrong. We just didn't have a lot of patience. So we've seen that really start to culturally and structurally change who we are. But we declared years ago, this was probably right around COVID, we declared that we're a hospitality company. It's kind of a nerd thing, but we even changed how we show up in our tax returns. So registration with the IRS, right? Mm-hmm. We're no longer manufacturing, we're hospitality, because that was one of our declarations, we're hospitality. The problem with that was we treated hospitality as a revenue center, right? We said, oh, it's hospitality. Oh, it's direct to consumer, right? Your tap room, your restaurants, that's hospitality. And then one day, I forget exactly how it came about, but somebody said, wait a second, but hospitality is not a revenue center. Hospitality is a mindset. We're all in hospitality. And to his point, now it's that mindset is in anybody that's in production, manufacturing, that side of the world, anybody that's front office, accounting, right? you are hospitality mindset. We've all got to think that way. Otherwise, we're not consumer first.
I'll say one last thing. One of the big ahas, I think, was we had a strategy consultant, and she would help us run our kind of yearly strategy planning. And she's also on the board of a very large fine dining restaurant in greater Cincinnati. And she said to us one day when she came in, she was like, when I come in here, no one greets me. You guys don't get me water. She was like, when I go to their place, they treat me like royalty. She was like, you guys say you're a hospitality company, but you're not.
Is that being able to early on discover that and even work with someone like that? Was that important for you guys to have? Because neither of you had the hospitality backgrounds, right?
No.
So you have to, when someone does come in, why was that important to have someone like that show you what needs to be done?
I think we always knew. I mean, you go to restaurants and bars and wherever, and you know what feels good, right? You know what's warm and welcoming. You know when somebody exceeds expectations, right? And you feel good about it when that happens. So we knew it inherently. We just didn't know how to do it, right? And I think one of the hardest things for us as a company, as a culture, was change. We changed every day up until January 2017 when we opened this place. At that point, we were all just satisfied and we didn't like change anymore. Our mentality shifted to, oh yeah, this is just what we are now. And so it took up until it was probably 2021 when we decided, we made the decision we're going to open a restaurant downtown OTR. We're going to call it Alcove, and we're going to get into the vodka soda game. That was mind boggling for everybody. It's like, well, we're a beer company. What are we doing? Yeah. And so that cultural shift there enabled us going forward year after year to then do a lot of different new things, innovative things. So kind of back to your point, what did it take to get to that hospitality mindset? I think it was a bunch of small pieces, and then also hiring some really great talent that knows hospitality and that's willing to come in and shift and change and grow. And it kind of kickstarted our momentum from that perspective.
And I don't think the consumer wants, at least the wave in Ohio, I would say, kind of happened from, I don't know, call it 13 to, and 13 is when we started. So maybe that's just, I'm looking through our lenses, but, call it, I don't know, 2010 to 2018-ish. And, I think it was almost expected that you walk into a brewery and it's dirty. You kind of get treated like shit. You got to be in the in crowd. I remember when we opened our first place over on Kennedy, the beer board was actually 20 feet behind. So if you're ordering at the bar, the beer board was 20 feet behind you. So you had to look
so
back.
The bartenders could see it.
So the bartenders could see it. And that was cool. But I think we just got to a point where it's just I don't think consumers want that anymore. And, as I think we compete, there's large spaces all around us. And I think about people that are going out with their families, we're not competing with those spaces. And it's not just, right? It's not just a dirty old kind of dingy brewery anymore.
Yeah. Is there anything that you guys have, you kind of touched on, the hospitality part, the blind spots in your business that were pointed out at some point and you had to shore that up? And, what have been some of the things that you guys have learned over the last 5 years or so to make yourself a better company in general?
At least in retrospect, the easy one is get the hell out of the way.
Yeah.
Sometimes this is our baby, and sometimes if you find the right person that can do the job, that has the vision, you give them the high level vision of where you want things to go and just let them go. Stay out of the way, and they'll do a much better job than we'll do. So that's been empowering. I think if I look back 10 years and you asked if could you get out of the way, I'd probably say no. But it feels so good to find people that can outperform anything that I could have ever done, and to watch them grow and blossom and watch this place grow because of it.
When you were talking about places and continuing to add spots, is that a margin play for sales? Is that we feel that hospitality wise we are good at what we do and we can continue to compete in different areas? And is that area greater Cincinnati, or are you thinking Ohio, Kentucky? Where do you think you want to go?
Yeah, I think it is greater Cincinnati. I think the fortunate thing we have here, and there's other cities that have this, but I think that it's a city of 52 kind of unique individual communities, and I don't think people don't travel very far. So, so I think there are a lot of communities that don't have a space like a Parks and Rec. So I think it's all of the above. I mean, there's certainly efficiency there. There's no doubt about it that like the more we can grow, the more opportunities we can afford employees. And I get really excited when I see, you know, for a lot of people, and I'm not saying this is all people, the food and beverage business can be a high burnout. There's not a whole lot of growth in it. You know, we've had people move locations, we've had people get promoted, we've had people move into what would be considered traditional hospitality, or move out of hospitality into brewing or into front office. So I think that's really cool that we're creating career paths for people. It allows us to amplify our impact.
We've had some people now work at all 3 locations.
Yeah.
Which is like, that's really cool.
Yeah.
Sorry, go.
No, I mean, you know, the GM who runs Parks and Rec started running Alcove, right? A little bit more upscale, smaller place. He's like, I want to run something larger. It's triple the size of employees that he now manages, and it's a very different, right? Suburban family is different than the family or the couple who's going down to Alcove. So I think it's just it's opportunity, and I think a lot of these communities are like kind of craving it. The harder part is probably just parsing out a lot of these opportunities. Like most breweries, when these new developments come in, they're like, well, what do we need as an anchor to fill condos? We need a brewery. And a lot of those, to be general, don't necessarily work for us. If we can find reuse buildings in high dense areas with a community that wants to support us, that's what we get excited about.
I'm sure there's other things on the docket that you guys have looked into. I know, you know, obviously being a beverage company under the banner of a brewing company, you're still going to use the beer as your name, but being able to have that diversification, how has that been for you guys? Like being, like adding that thing in, like,
yeah.
Is it a boost in sales? Is it something just to be? Do you feel like you're cannibalizing something for something, or do you see it as an addition?
I'm sure there's a little bit of cannibalization, but I'll tell you, I mean, as we went through years and years of beer declines, frankly, like Sway was the thing that really kind of was, I don't want to say propping the business up, but it was more than offsetting the beer declines. And this year, luckily, both are growing. We've done a really good job in our spaces. I mean, if you come into our spaces, there's tons of mocktails, non-alcoholic beers. We don't make non-alcoholic. To be frank, we wanted to. We were test batching a method. We made one good batch. We couldn't replicate it, so we kind of moved on. Not to say that non-alcoholic beer is something we're, I think, would still like to see come to fruition at some point. THC beverages are something we're going to lean into. But I think it's just like, as you think about like just people going out and enjoying themselves. I mean, I know for me personally, and I see it especially with like younger generations. Like I'm amazed at just how many kids under the age of 28 who just aren't drinking anymore. And it's wild. Or if they're drinking, right, it's very much in moderation, which is not a bad thing for our society. Just to be like really clear.
Do you like having that balance? And like when you guys started, you probably weren't thinking, we're gonna make this, we're gonna make this, we're gonna hit this. But like you have to have that mentality of moving on and evolving. And
yeah.
Was that a struggle at the beginning, or like a sigh? I guess we have to do this now, because I think that sometimes is the hardest hurdle to leap.
This Brewer Mag podcast is sponsored by Keg Logistics. Now's the perfect time to review your keg management strategy. Whether you're seeking a truly flexible keg rental program or intrigued by the seamless distribution freedom of paper fill, Keg Logistics is ready to craft a personalized solution for you, ensuring you receive the kegs you need precisely when you need them. For details, visit keglogistics.com/brewermag. Keg Logistics, modern solutions for keg efficiency.
The first shift was probably the hardest, and that shift was when we put pre-batch cocktails on the menu, which meant we had to pull some beers off, right? So we're not running 28 to 30 beers anymore. We're going to allocate 5-6 taps for pre-mixed cocktails. And then we added wine. And my mother-in-law is a big wine drinker, so I was like, we got to put wine on, right? Otherwise, she's going to, don't tell anybody this, don't quote me on this one. She's going to bring her own in, right? And I'm going to allow it. So yeah, don't write that up. And then fast forward, or then we put Sway on, right? And then fast forward a few years, actually about 6 months ago, we have a full bar here now. It took us 8 years to put a full bar back there because it was just changes. Like, we're a brewery, right? We make beer. We're not going to have bottles of liquor. It's going to take all the beer sales. It doesn't. Yeah. I mean, it's that person that comes in and says, I don't really want a beer and I'm probably not going to have anything. Oh, wait, I can have this cocktail. Okay, I'll have that. Right. So it's about the customer first. It's not about how hard it is for our service staff to make a cocktail, because they can do it pretty quickly.
I'm not going to personally, and I know you feel this way, I'm not going to die on the sword of a certain style of beer or a certain thou shalt make this, thou shalt not make that. Like, the energy needs to be on, like, what are the things that are immovable? Whatever we are going to make needs to be quality. Whatever we are going to make needs to be better than the competition. It needs to meet your expectations or exceed your expectations, right? And it needs to help us grow the business and give back. And I think I wasn't always that way, to be frank. Like, I've been in the past reluctant to, like, make a light lager, or even probably in the very early, even though I did eventually push Sway pretty hard, I was probably a little against that, because I think you get into this industry. I mean, we got into this industry drinking Sublimely Self-Righteous and Sierra Nevada Pale, and we loved big, aggressive, hopped up beers. The first 5 beers we had at our place were all
6% or more.
6% or more, and they were all hopped up version. We had a brown, but it was hopped up. We had a porter hopped up, black IPA. We had a 10% Russian Imperial Stout. We had an amber that was hopped up. So I mean, it was like, we love those aggressive beers, but that's not the hill to die on anymore.
How important has growing up as a brewery and being able to understand technology matters more and more? How have you guys implemented things, and what are some of those key points that you guys have made over the years?
Yeah, great one. My philosophy is that you need close to real-time data. It's accurate, trustworthy, and it has to be accessible, right? So if you can solve all 4 of those things, we have all the data, right? But getting it somewhere that you can achieve those 4 things, then you can start to change the culture of some of your leaders. They know where the data is. They know what they're being asked to do, and they know what, to your point, right? The biggest things for a restaurant is food cost, labor cost, and then guest count, right? So let's make sure we're doing all those things. And if you have the right tools in place, then we can track that on a daily, weekly basis, and we can pivot quickly if for whatever reason something's skewed. So we've spent a lot of time and effort since, frankly, it was COVID 2020, getting all our data allocated to one place, a data lake, right? Not to nerd out too much, but we sucked all our data out of all the systems that we have, our ERPs, our payroll provider, our all consumer satisfaction scores, Google, Yelp, Resi, OpenTable, right? You name it. All that comes in, and then we're able to display it, whatever dashboard we want. We use Power BI as a company. We made that decision years ago, but now it's fairly ubiquitous across the leadership team. We all look at the same reports, and we all know if you're achieving what you need to achieve or not. It's not really negotiable, right? We have to do this to be successful, so let's go get it. And it's not working, so what are we gonna do to change? And through that also allows for, I'm gonna sound like probably a marketing book or something, but it allows for continuous improvement, right? Because now that we have all our data is really powerful, all our data is in one place. So how can we reduce the transactional cost of things that we used to do, that it took 10 hours to do something, now it takes 30 minutes, because we automate data moving between systems, and then we just have to go validate it. So it takes us from a transactional company to a validation. Like, your job goes from transactional to validation to verification to analysis, right? And so now we get a lot more value out of you because you're not head down entering data. And even like silly things, I say silly, these are really important. You're the center of your universe. What's the most important day to you?
What?
Important day to you. You're the center of your own universe. We all are. Yeah. But what's the most important day to you?
Cost.
What's that?
Cost.
No, day.
Day
of the year.
Just day of the week?
Of the year.
Of the year.
Yeah.
Like birthday.
Exactly. Right? So we have 350 people. What's the most important day of the year for them?
Right. Right.
So how do we make it so easy for us to tell them? I know it sounds simple, but how do we tell them? Make sure that we celebrate them on the most important day of their year.
Yeah.
If I have to go look at our payroll information to pull a report, how many steps is that?
Yeah.
Or if it's going to send me a monthly report, which is typically what you see, I don't know where that report is by the time it's their birthday. I need somebody to tell me immediately, right? So through all this data, we have a lot of automations where everybody up the chain gets an email. It's stupid simple. Gets an email that says, "Hey, by the way, this is Brady Duncan's birthday today. You should probably celebrate with him in some way. Here's his phone number. Here's his V card, right? The contact card, so you can add it to your phone. Here's his email if he has an email, and a picture of him. So like, no excuse. So you should text him.
I had an employee
you should walk up to him and say, "Hey, happy birthday!" Right? You should celebrate him when he walks in the door.
So Kenny and I send text messages. I assume you still do text, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. To every
First thing in the morning, 6 o'clock.
Yep.
They show up in emails. I get out of bed, or as soon as I wake up, I look through it to see whose birthday, whose anniversary, and then I'll reach out to every single one of them.
Yeah, I had an employee 2 weeks ago. It's like, I thought that was automated. It's like, no. I mean, we get an automated message to let us know, but I actually type it. So
Again, it's little things, and data aggregation allows for things like that. And even, again, stop me because I can go on for days, but we use Toast as our point of sale, right? And you're in there, you clock in, clock out, right? It doesn't talk to our payroll provider. And it used to take somebody, call it 6-8 hours every week to make sure everything was moved in. Well, because all our data is now in one data lake, we build an automation, so it's just there. We just shift it in. Now you have to validate again and analyze versus enter. So it elevates people out of the trenches and gets them doing higher level work, which is more rewarding, which adds more value to the company. So it's very important.
So this is interesting because I wrote this before you told me you guys are up. So with the market being the way it is, and I would say stable to low, it's moving, trending down a little bit. How do you interpret what the challenges are of the industry right now between the losses, the saturation, consumer shifts, which we've all talked about? How has that shaped your innovation going forward?
Oh man, there's so many angles to take this.
I'll throw one piece out. Maybe this will spur some thoughts here for you. We invested a few years ago, and when we were doing Sway, we were paying for mobile canning because we couldn't do slims. So then we invested in mobile canning, we invested in an upgrade to our packaging line so that we could do slims, we could do 16s, we could do 19.2s, and then we could also do, theoretically, 4-pack, 6-pack, 8-pack, 12-pack, 15-pack, 24-pack, I don't know, you name it, right? Like, we could do anything. And we've dabbled in a lot of those things. So, for instance, we try to get the 19.2 game for convenience because New Belgium kills it there.
Yes.
It doesn't really work for us, right? And so just watching some of those trends and understanding, and the margin's garbage, right? If you're buying it for $3 off the shelf, a can cost us like 57 cents just for the aluminum, right?
Yeah.
And so you think we're making money on that? And so I think going forward, what we're going to have to start to understand is back to the earlier theme, which is focus and intent. We kind of shotgunned a bunch of stuff out there. Now we need to look at where we can actually win and where we want to invest our time and money, and see if we can get some margin back from some of those things and kill off some of the other things that just aren't working. But
yeah, I think we have generally kind of said broadly, we're not interested in making like long-term investments right now. It doesn't mean we're not doing things to grow our business.
Yeah.
But like, for example, I don't think we'd be willing to put out $2 million to open a new space. Just the return on that is just far too long. We've not pulled the trigger on like a pasteurizer or anything to do non-alcoholic beers because I think the return is too long. There's a lot of instability in alcohol right now. Who knows what's going to happen, right, with tariff impacts and just some of the instability that's happening politically. So I think we're we want to grow. I think we're being smart about growth. I mean, we've watched payroll very tight. We frankly ballooned up too large, kind of starting in 2017, 2018, where we really thought the growth was coming. So, and at one point we had a massive marketing team, which was great. We were doing some amazing stuff.
I think that's where we built a lot of our brand and brand equity.
Yeah.
The problem there was we didn't know how to activate it.
Yeah.
So you build something fantastic. Now let's turn it on. Let's make some money off of it, right? You have to.
Yeah. I mean, we're getting a lot. Leaner's not the word, but as we've continued to kind of grow revenue, we're not necessarily adding a shit ton of cost to it. So, yeah. And then, I mean, products, we got to continue to get wider. Obviously you see that with kind of our menus that we have on here, but even our food menus, we're catering much more to like a lunch crowd. We're trying to bring more lunch people into this space. So we used to just kind of do pizzas. Now we do sandwiches. Now we do salads, healthier options, allergy options, lifestyle options, right? More vegan friendly stuff like that. So, which is certainly adds some complexity to managing a large menu versus, coming in and we've got pizza.
This Brewer Mag podcast is sponsored by Keg Logistics. Now's the perfect time to review your keg management strategy. Whether you're seeking a truly flexible keg rental program or intrigued by the seamless distribution freedom of paper fill, Keg Logistics is ready to craft a personalized solution for you, ensuring you receive the kegs you need precisely when you need them. For details, visit keglogistics.com/brewermag. Keg Logistics, modern solutions for keg efficiency.